All right. Hello, everybody. I am BMillzebub, and welcome to this month's Seven Princes live stream. Hope you're all doing well. And real quick, before we really get going, hopefully my computer will work quickly, even though when I do live streams, it suddenly becomes a dumpster fire. I want to introduce the Seven Princes. I, of course, am BMillzebub, and I represent Beelzebub. And that was kind of obvious on the nose. And Beelzebub represents gluttony. We also have with us for the first time tonight scientist Mel, who represents Asmodeus. And
I got the short straw.
This is kind of a test drive for her to see if she's, into the whole pretending to be a demon kind of thing. But
people think I actually am one, so it's okay.
Well, I mean,
right there with you.
Since Asmodeus does represent lust and people think you're a cam girl, it kind of fits.
I do have a bag. I decided to just run with it. I'm like, so yeah, I'm a cam girl for science. So I got a bag here, and in a mug. So I guess that means it's real.
Totally.
It's gotta
Just
be real.
it being on the internet makes it real. I mean,
I guess, yeah, it's fine. The preoccupation with whether or not I can't even go. I just can't even go there. Like I don't have any. I've never done that. So it's like, okay, fine. You think that about me? That speaks more about you and maybe what you enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be a cam girl to make it. That's
no shame on those ladies.
Hell no.
I actually have really good friends of mine who work in the sex industry, and one of my lawyer actually is an advocate for censorship in London. His name is Miles Jackman. He helps write laws in Parliament for censorship. So I have no issue with sex workers. I'm just not one. And I don't know how that has any relevance to asking for statistics on nihilism causing depression.
It's just a way to make you look bad because apparently she thinks that that's a bad thing and it's totally not.
Yeah, I don't care. But, that's fine. Whatever helps her get her rocks off.
I will spit out my whiskey.
That's not my problem, and I don't care.
And continuing with introductions, we have Mrs. Snarky, who represents Lucifer, who is the chief of pride down in hell. And keep that in mind because her topic actually relates to a different kind of pride. But
Actually, yeah, that's the pride that I was going to go with tonight, is that kind of pride.
Oh, that one? Okay. Mm-hmm. And we've got BBA, the Bible Belt atheist, atheist, he's just one guy. You're just one person, right? You don't have several personalities.
He's not Legion?
I don't think so.
You are not
Is that how you check? You check by feeling your head?
I should be one person.
You just never know these days.
Just one head right now.
But the Bible Belt atheist, singular, is Satan, who represents wrath. And I actually don't know what he's got in store for us tonight. But since I kind of slightly spoiled what Mrs. Snarky plans on talking about, why don't we let you take over, Snarky?
All right. So the idea of pride has been really put down in at least the Christian circles and other different Abrahamic religions. It's, this whole narrative of pride cometh before a fall. But, there seems to be this problem when it comes to self-esteem and autonomy within these religions. And that's one thing that I think is problematic. When you teach people it's a bad thing to be proud of yourself for what you've accomplished and who you are, if you're a decent human being, that's problematic. I'm here to say there's nothing wrong with pride in moderation. Now, when it comes to moderation, this is also important, because if you go overboard with your pride, then you're being arrogant. And that is a whole other story. If you're arrogant, people aren't going to take you seriously. Or if they do, they're only going to do so to help themselves along. They're going to ride your coattails, so to speak. So yeah, I think that there is a boundary to be made there between pride and arrogance. If you are working hard and you're accomplishing things, your goals, and you're doing good things for the world, you should be proud of yourself. And there ain't a damn thing wrong with that. But if you're arrogant, maybe you need to step it back a notch. I think the difference between pride and arrogance is self-reflection. And that's a key issue. It is something that I've observed, including in myself, as something that is lacking within a lot of people, is self-reflection. So yeah, pay attention to what you're doing and how you're approaching other people. If you're approaching other people with this sense of, oh, I'm wonderful, that's going to be a problem. That's bringing other people down, especially if you're actively trying to bring people down. If you go out there and you say, hey, I know about an issue because I've studied this, and you're just a stupid blah, 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 that's awful. Instead, take the approach of teaching people. And this is something that I absolutely adore Scientist Mel for. She doesn't look at ignorance as something that is inherently a bad thing. She actually tries to teach people. And I think that is a rare thing in this world. It's something we need a lot more of. And a lot less arrogance. So I do want to say to people like Mel and her accomplishments and many things that she has done in order to make the world better, she should be proud of herself. And shame on people who would come at someone like Mel and say, you know what, pride cometh before a fall. No. Step back with that. That right there, in my opinion, is arrogance. So that's basically all I have to say on the issue. If y'all want to chime in, that'd be great. What do y'all think?
I think you pretty well covered that.
Yay!
Yeah, well, thank you for the lovely things you had to say.
Of course. I mean, it was just like, it was, I don't know, serendipitous that you were here in this, because I thought, well, last week I'm going to talk about pride, and you're a perfect example of someone who should be proud of what they've done.
I think it is important, particularly for people in pride, to kind of understand what they've had to overcome to be able to just exist.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't recognize that, because they do sit from a point of privilege, and people are like, okay, this is the background. I grew up practically in poverty, single parent home, 2 other siblings. I had to take care of them. I've had a job since I was about 14 years old. My mom had to use my car sometimes because she didn't have enough gas in hers in order to get to work. So wow. I just, so we almost lost our house a couple times, and regular dinner was fish sticks and macaroni and cheese because that's cheap. Yeah. So, and I still recognize the fact that I had privilege because of me not being a person of color, not being a particularly alternative lifestyle or something like that. So it's just, I try to point out, particularly with people who don't understand what privilege is, it doesn't make you a bad person.
No.
And what's important is to recognize, and I often tell this little story, recent happening. So Monty from the Hannibal and Monty shit show, and Dragnots, who goes live stream, last year, around this time last year, we all met up in New Orleans to talk about Symbiosis in the Venom film. Okay, that was just a lot of fun. So I was staying at a really nice hotel because I saved up all my money. And sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to stay at this really nice hotel. They have this really pretty sky bar at the top called the Hot 10. I'm like, oh my God, guys, let's go to the sky bar. And so Monty has all these dreads and he's wearing like a old t-shirt and some shorts, and Dragnot's showing up with like this old t-shirt. And so we go in, and the bouncer's like, okay, ma'am, come on in. And they look at it, and he looks at the two of them and he's like, I'm like, they are with me. Right. And they're like, we're with her. And I'm like, white privilege instituted. You know? Yeah. So I understand that that's what that is. But, you know, Drag and Monty, they're like, we know you have white privilege. And I'm like, I recognize it and it sucks. And I'm not about to, you know, if I can help people with that, they're like, yes. So we went up on this, like, exclusive bar sitting on the top because I happened to be staying at the hotel because I saved up all my money so I could go and stay there for 2 nights. And I had hotel rewards on hotel.com for a free night. So it cut the cost down.
This is not an endorsement, just saying.
No, it's not. I had a coupon and I had some money knocked off. I'm like, y'all, we gonna party on the sky bar.
Hell yeah. Cheers.
So I will probably never do that again because I'm just like, bucket list, ding. But I recognize, that the bouncer was like, these 2 big black men, they're not allowed at the time. I'm like, yes, they are, because they are with me and I'm staying here, MFer. And we gonna go to the top. We're gonna have some drinks that are way overpriced. Right. Maybe one, and that's it. But we're gonna sit up there and we're gonna just whatever. So
it's so ridiculous too, because people will deny to the ends of the earth that white privilege exists.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's totally real. I've witnessed it.
But I'm not a bad person because I recognize the fact I have white privilege.
Right.
I'm never gonna be shot because somebody thought a cell phone was a gun. I'm never going to have those things. So much like a person who is in pride in what they've had to overcome, I'm never going to be beaten for being a straight white girl.
Right. And see, that's a really good caveat to another point is, what is Pride Month about? It's about being proud of who you are as a marginalized person who does not have the privilege that other people have. So I think that's a very important thing.
Yes.
And whenever, people of privilege come forth and they're like, whoa, what about white pride? Oh, no. Or straight pride and all this. It's ridiculous. And they don't seem to understand how that comes across.
They have never been persecuted for being straight heterosexual white men.
Right. But
that's the entire point.
They feel they are. And that is what is so ridiculous. The fact that people who are not privileged, not as privileged as they, are proud of themselves and are being themselves authentically, somehow infringes upon them.
Here's my thoughts. I can't remember who originally came up with this particular perspective. Men who are homophobic and are like all about the straight pride are horribly afraid that they will be treated by men the way they treat women. And that's kind of my perspective on that. So if you treat women horribly, of course you're going to be afraid of gay men because you think all men behave this way. So that's kind of been my thoughts on that. These men straight pride. Either they're closeted, homosexual tendencies they're unresolved, maybe feelings, or they're deathly afraid that men are going to treat them the way they have historically treated women.
Right. And that kind of is demonstrated through how often in their rhetoric, generally speaking, they talk about the feminization of male culture. Right. So I think there is some, there's some ground there to that hypothesis. I do want to make sure that I'm not shaming anyone who might be closeted.
Right.
Because I want them to know that they have a community that will welcome them just as they are. And of course, when they're spewing hateful rhetoric, we should, of course, call them out on it because it's awful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's like a fine line that you have to walk when it comes to how you deal with homophobes, transphobes, things of this nature.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to recognize that. But anyway, what do you think?
Pride!
Yay, pride! What do you think, Bub?
Here's something I actually want to say before my brain decides to forget it again.
Relatable.
Because I literally forgotten what I wanted to say twice while you were talking. But no, okay. So these people that are terrified of the feminization of masculinity, the loss of masculinity or whatever. I mean, if you think that being gay is going to immediately make you more feminine, I want to introduce these people to some gay friends of mine that would fuck me up in a fight. And by the way, they look more butch than I do, and I'm pretty butch looking.
Yeah, you're the ultimate butch.
I am. I am the ultimate.
It's the beard. It's the power of the beard.
It is. This is a truly powerful thing.
You should put glitter through it, glitterize that beard, and just join.
Do it. Do it.
I'm taking glitter out for the next year and a half.
That's fair. It doesn't go away. It stays forever.
Yep.
It will never come out of your sheets ever.
Yeah, they say diamonds are forever. Nope, glitter.
It's glitter. It's body glitter.
Yeah.
You'll be finding glitter after you become geriatric, and
it's like my hair. It's like because I shed. If I go to your house, you'll find hair for like at least 8 years.
Oh my God, same. You can tell that this is my house because my hair is everywhere. Like I can't deny that this is where I live.
I can do this. It's like I used to work. I'm still pulling hair out. I used to work on the Tree of Life project with Dr. McKenna, and so that was right after I graduated. I volunteered in his lab for a couple years after that, just to work. We reared ladybugs. I would walk around and just pull like the random strands of hair out because I was so afraid that I get my own hair mixed in with like the ladybug DNA, and somehow they'd be like, "Why do we have human DNA in this sample?" I'm like,
right?
I don't know. It's not mine.
Yeah, and if you're anything like me, those little caps that they give you to put your hair in whenever you go into a lab or whatever, I have to use 2 of those because my hair, I have so much of it.
Yeah,
that there's just no containing it.
You just let it go, man. You just let it flow, let it go. You're like, all right,
let it go, let it go.
Oh Jesus. That song.
They're making a sequel to that, which makes it even worse.
Oh my God, no.
They're making a Frozen 2 that's coming out like next year, I think. And I saw the trailer for it and I was like, fuck me in the ass.
Oh my God. I'm so glad that my daughter is over that because she's such a teenager.
Oh, I never watched that film. I'm so happy I never watched that film. People are like, well, we need a strong female character that never married the prince. I'm like, Brave is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then go watch Maleficent, like the live action. Oh my God. Okay. As an aside, as an educator, if you have a hard time explaining rape to your children, have them watch Maleficent and use that scene where he drugs her and steals her wings. That is exactly what it's like. They take a part of you. So that just got really dark. So sorry about that.
No, made it dark. No.
I made it really dark, but
Good comparison.
but that's kind of like what it is. Somebody that you trust takes something from you and you can't get it back.
Right.
For me, when I saw that, I guess it's my turn. I'm sorry. I guess I'll make it about this. I don't know. So for me, as an educator, I find multiple ways to try to essentially kind of communicate different concepts to people. So what I do, like today, I talked about hormones and cellular signaling. So one of the things that I do is I apply it to some kind of pop culture thing. So in this case, it was lighting the beacons so Gondor would respond in Lord of the Rings. So, it's like, Gondor calls for aid. Rohan must answer. So in order to get the response that you want from Rohan, they have to have all of these towers lit up. Well, cellular signaling, you have a receptor and a ligand, and then it goes through these chemical messengers to get the cell to respond in the way that you want. So I often, as an educator, I'm like, how can I explain a thing that's particularly difficult, but in ways that they understand? In this case, cellular signaling was Lord of the Rings. So for something that's controversial or particularly hard to discuss, like rape and consent, Maleficent is an excellent film to sit there and have and watch, because you see how sad she feels. Why does she feel sad? She feels sad because somebody that she cares about and trusts took something from her without her permission. They went out of their way to hurt her and take her wings, the things that bring her joy, something that she is a part of who she is and gives her pleasure and happiness. They took that away from her. And so now she has to cope with not having it anymore in the way that she likes. And so as a parent or as an educator, if you're trying to discuss consent, and, since it's Pride, consent is important, that's an excellent metaphor as to what it's like for somebody to take your wings away. Something that once gave you joy is now associated with a horrible, horrible, destruction of trust with somebody that you love. And normally that's the case when it comes to acts of, where sex is involved. It's usually, a rape is usually somebody that stalking, same thing, harassment, same thing, somebody usually that So that's a way to address consent without actually getting into the meat of things with when a man loves a woman and a woman loves a man, or two people of the same sex want to express themselves. You don't have to get into all of that detail to teach a child the importance of consent. Did he have permission to take her wings? No. Well, that's not nice, isn't it? No, it's not. That was actually very mean, wasn't it? Yes. Would you be sad if somebody took something from you without your permission? Yes, I would. So you can discuss consent without ever having to talk about sex. So that's my little spiel. Use things that are easily accessible to kind of relate to other people on what consent is. In Maleficent, man, I bawled during that scene. Like, this is just too honest and real. I can't cope with this. And I've cosplayed as her. I've cosplayed as that Maleficent. And I think there's pictures of me somewhere on something or other. I don't know. It's maybe it's, the cam girl. Maybe I'm a cam girl for cosplaying as freaking Maleficent from, whatever. But look, she cosplayed in a whole, outfit with horns. She is clearly the devil.
Clearly.
Man, I wish I had that much power, man. Certainly not be the world that I am right now. But, man, I, too, love Maleficent. And I'm kind of interested in how this evil version is going to go. I'm like, I really like the take and the spin that they had. And to be quite honest, Sleeping Beauty was my favorite Disney film ever since I was little. And it was because of Maleficent. She is the only Disney villain to claim that her powers come from hell.
She's honest.
She's like, now you shall deal with me and all the powers of hell. And she turns into this dragon. I'm like, this is the most awesome thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, as a little kid, I'm just like, look at this. She said the Sharon powers of hell. This is a Disney film. It's just a dragon now. Why did they kill her? She's amazing. I was like a kid, and I've loved Maleficent like my whole life. So
Powerful woman. Yeah.
amazing, and I loved the way that they went with that. It was, she actually did. She was honestly trying to get back at the awful people without actually hurting Aurora. It wasn't her intent to hurt her. And then they ended up developing a bond, which I thought was just amazing. I'm like, I just love this so much. I am that nerd. So there you go. I guess that's what I'm going to talk about. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Oh yeah, I think that's perfect way of teaching people, especially kids, consent and also empathy. Empathy is something that just seems to be lacking in so many people. And I think it's tragic, especially when it comes to issues of consent, because whenever you're talking about somebody taking away something that precious, like your autonomy, your ability to say no, that ruins your life, essentially. I mean, you're never the same afterward. At least that's been my experience. So, and I'm sure like there are ways to cope with it, and to deal with everyday life and try to get back to somewhat a new normal, but it's just not the same. So I think this is a very important topic to discuss. And I'm glad that you're taking it in a way that's, PG for one.
Well, it's also accessible. I think the word is accessible for pretty much all ages.
Right.
You can have the conversation without it being, how are we going to talk about sex and consent with my 9-year-old? Freaking talk about would you watch this scene? He drugs her. She goes to sleep. He takes her wings. What's happened here? Why is that bad? Well, that's something that she loves. Yes. Well, did he have permission to do that? No. Why did he do that? Because he wanted to get power for himself. That's exactly what happens. And so you're like, this is what happens. It's a power thing. So
it totally is a power thing. A lot of people have there's this misconception that it's a sex thing, and it's not. It's all about dominating and being, as someone who feels that they're not powerful, taking power away from someone else. So that's a really good angle to go at. Awesome. I feel like the redheads are just taking over the show.
In my experience, redheads usually do that.
I have my wizard staff. I get my wizard staff. It has a D20 on the top. I could make it like super official and like completely just like, get all Gandalf up in here a bit maybe. But then I'd be Gandalf the Red.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Love it.
We need a Gandalf the Red.
So what do you dudes think about the Maleficent angle of teaching consent?
I honestly hadn't thought of it before. I've seen the movie, but I've never had that experience of being dominated in a way that, basic training, but I had the option to leave technically. So even then I still had options. I never had the ability to say no taken away from me. So, when it comes to that particular topic, my brain's not going to be firing its cylinders on that level because it's not an experience that I have any familiarity with,
But you can still conceptualize it, and you can still have empathy towards someone who has gone through this, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a kind of abstract way, I can
Yeah.
conceptualize it, but I mean, apart from getting my ass kicked a couple of times, it's not really an experience that I can sympathize with, but I can empathize, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And I do want to commend you on, recognizing your place of privilege in this, because that's something that not very many people would be willing to admit, So I do want to commend you on that. I appreciate it.
What are your thoughts, BBA?
I've just been sitting here listening. I've never seen Maleficent, so I can't really relate. I don't know the storyline, but from the comparison that Mel was explaining, that it does make complete sense, and it's a really good analogy. So that's my take on it.
Yay!
It's okay if you don't think it's a good analogy. I'm just saying.
Maybe I should push back. It was awful, Mel. I hated it.
Terrible. It's terrible acting. There was a woman lead. Clearly, it was going to suck from the beginning.
Oh, clearly. It's just the SJWs trying to push their agenda into everything.
That's what it is. It's Disney's gay agenda. They actually said there was a gay agenda with Maleficent. Okay, so Sleeping Beauty wakes up from true love's first kiss or whatever. Okay, so at the end, spoilers, Maleficent actually kisses her on the cheek. She had developed a mother-daughter relationship with Aurora as Aurora was growing up with the other incompetent fairies who didn't know how to raise a kid. Maleficent was throwing in her 2 cents, trying to help mold her into a really good person. And at the end, the prince, who's a bit of a bumbling idiot, doesn't manage to get to where he can kiss, Sleeping Beauty. So the kiss that wakes her up is the one from Maleficent, but it's like a forehead kiss. It's like the most beautiful, respectful kiss, like a mother would give a daughter. And everybody's like, "This is gay!" And I'm like, "Oh my God." Did you watch the film? Did you watch the film? She was like, "Oh my God, I can't stand kids. This cretin is around here." And she's like, "Okay, I won't let her fall off the cliff. Okay."
Right.
All right. Like, okay, so she's curious and she has intelligence. Maybe I'm interested in talking to her. Okay. And then she starts to mold her steadily over time as kind of like a fairy godmother, but was integral to her growth as a human. It was a mother-daughter thing. So it's just, a lot of people just were like, "This is gay." I'm like, no, you're sexualizing something that was never sexual. It was about a mother-daughter type of love, and that's it. Just So I have issues with people in the internet. I'm just like, like, whatever.
It's just like the chuds to take something out of context. It's gay. Oh look, there's the agenda. Oh, I mean, they're the very reactionaries that
it wasn't a sexual kiss. It was like a kiss on the forehead. It was just like. And it was a sweet, I care about this person. I put time into them. I've helped them grow into this human. It was like a surrogate mother thing. And it was just beautiful. And I'm like, why are you going to make something like, God, people just on the internet ruin things all the time. This is why I don't fight with people on the internet. I'm like, I don't want to fight you. Well, fight me. No. Fight me. No. No, I'm just not. I'm going to go and spend my time on something meaningful other than arguing with you.
You're smarter than I am. I'm on Twitter.
It's like the XKCD little thing. It was like, "Are you coming to bed? Your people on the internet are wrong." And he's typing.
Are you kidding me? It's everything on the internet is legit. Okay.
Yep, especially the contradictory stuff.
Yes, totally.
God, I used to. Okay, so back in the old days of Adult Swim, like a million years ago, they used to have forums. They used to have forums, and you could be Order of the Owl if you were there long enough and post it. I never got to Order of the Owl, but I do have Adult Swim fame because they took one of my things that I posted in their forums and made it for their bumps for the whole night, which was kind of fun. But people would sit there and argue on the freaking Adult Swim forums. I'm like, this is well before Twitter, because I'm that old.
Oh,
So this is before Twitter. Before Twitter became a thing, there was the Adult Swim forums, and I'd be sitting there and I'd be posting stuff, and people would just argue, and I'm like, why? So I spent days arguing with people, like, yeah, you know, and this just ain't worth it. I just none of y'all care. You're not actually going to change your position, and this is. It's like the time that I played The Sims when it first came out for like 24 hours straight and didn't move from my computer. And I'm like, maybe I should sleep. I'm like, I just need to kind of disconnect and perhaps shower and eat food. And maybe, you know, I went to the bathroom, come back and be like, but I had all the cheat codes, which made it impossible for me to stop. So I had like unlimited money, could build a house. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have like 30 people here. This one's gonna die just because I just want this person to die here. We'll put them in a locked room. I gotta pee. Oh, they pee themselves. Okay, so they do that. So it was like my own. It was horrible. It was horrible experimentation on the poor Sims just to see what the algorithms would do. Like, okay, so if I lock them in a room with no doors, what's it gonna be like?
This is the issue I have with simulation theory. I hope that is not the reality. I mean, sometimes you kind of wonder, but
well, you know, I didn't feel bad and then I actually started to feel bad. So some people I'm going to make them be like popular musicians, which is like the hardest path to go because you have to start them on the side of the road, like playing music. But I had unlimited money in a massive house, so it didn't really matter because, you know, like, you know, they just got better at it. And then, you know, I had to teach them how to cook. I did eventually become ethical. I'm like, I actually don't want to kill these people anymore. And then I had same-sex couples having babies, which I thought was fantastic.
That's wonderful. Love it. I also did the cheat code thing, you know, to get all the money. But I didn't really care about the individual's path and all that. I just wanted to build houses. I just wanted to just create
stuff. It's kind of soothing, isn't it?
I miss it. I need to get the new one.
I did the same thing with SimCity, like building cities. I really enjoy that. And roller coaster theme parks, like Roller Coaster Tycoon. I loved that game. I would just build roller coasters. I'm like, this entire amusement park is going to be based on lizards. And so it's just like, this is the lizard theme park. It's got a lizard little thing over here.
It's for the Illuminati. They could have fun too.
You know, here's Jay-Z and Beyonce coming in to ride the lizard roller coaster because they have season passes.
Love it. Well, I feel kind of like we're getting off topic though.
A little, yeah.
So, BBA, do you have a topic you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I thought I would try and kind of find a topic to talk about while you guys were talking, but to kind of fit in with everyone else, but I kind of haven't yet, so.
I mean, it doesn't have to fit in with what everyone else is talking about. It can be like a complete out of right field kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's bugging you the most?
Well, my glasses aren't exactly the cleanest right now. They're
not my glasses ain't clean. I'm talking about like what is making you just rage.
Well, you asked what was bugging me right now, so
yeah, it's pollution. It's pollution in the air. Okay, so BBA, pollution in the air is making your glasses dirty. Go.
No, it's more my eczema that's making them dirty.
Oh no, we ain't gonna blame that. We're gonna blame pollution.
Because literally I have eczema on my scalp. Mm-hmm. So whenever I scratch my head, the skin flakes just fall down.
Oh,
get stuck in my
geez.
lenses.
What's my excuse?
I'm greasy.
Yeah, I'm greasy. I'm greasy. I'm flaky.
I'm greasy and full of humidity, I guess.
Ugh, it's hot today. Anyway.
All right. So
Well, I
nothing
can-
is eating BBA. So what you got, BMillzebub?
I figure I'll give BBA a chance to actually find something to talk about. So I don't know if everybody has heard of this nonsense coming out of Colombia in the Catholic Church, but there's a
Lord.
bishop in Colombia who wants to borrow a Colombian military helicopter so he can spray the town. What's the name of this town? Buenaventura in Colombia. Wants to borrow a military helicopter so he can spray the town with holy water to free it from demonic forces.
I haven't been that very busy over there in that region. I've been too busy being evil here in the good old US, so I don't know what they're talking about.
I know.
It's fake news.
It's fake news.
Wait, so these people actually believe that demons are legit enough to where they're going to take a helicopter
Yep.
and spray holy water over town, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, okay, so this town in Colombia does have, or did kind of have a gang problem. But I mean, like the murder rate has gone down from, it was something like 120 murders per 100,000 people, and it's down to like 14 in the last few years.
Is that because they gave everybody showers?
That has nothing at all to do with dumping holy water on people. It's got more to do with God, I'm trying to remember exactly what I'm looking at it, but
I'm going to totally judge you if you don't have 100% accurate statistics. I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I'm going to put my judgy face on.
I'm super judging you right now. No pressure whatsoever.
yeah, it's let's see, paramilitary gangs extorting, kidnap locals.
A Thursday.
Okay, so in 2010, the murder rate in Buenaventura, I was wrong. It's not 120 something. It was 175.2 per 100,000.
Wow.
Okay. And it's dropped because of, did they say why?
The article I read earlier, because the gang actually is related to the FARC, revolutionary military group that operates down there. The government actually signed a treaty with them, and the gang backed off of the port, which accounts for about 60% of imports to Colombia. Actually, let me go ahead and.
I imagine some of the people actually fled the area because.
People definitely fled the area, but
and that would.
I would.
Yeah, that would drop your murder rate significantly too. You got people fleeing as refugees.
Less people to murder.
Yeah. The link is in the side chat there on YouTube now.
Okay.
But
Maddie.
Here's something I actually didn't know. The Catholic Church doesn't allow holy water to be disposed of through plumbing. Yeah, it be in a special basin that leads to the ground.
Did you not know that? Yeah. It's like whenever they have leftover host, like
I mean, I knew that about the communion crackers. I just didn't think of it through holy water.
Crackers.
I mean, they're basically crackers.
They are.
crackers.
They're not even crackers. Like
You
literally
are racist.
all
I'm-
they
I'm
no.
kind of using cracker as a pejorative. I'll admit it.
Well, I mean, all the host consists of are flour and water that are super compressed together. That's all they are.
Oh,
Yeah.
the thing that kind of, because I've actually been Catholic for a stint. The thing that made me kind of nuts is that you weren't allowed to have breakfast before you received the Holy Communion. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm
At
totally.
least an hour before communion.
I'm like, no. But it's interesting because I have been Nazarene, Baptist, Lutheran for a bit, went to Pentecostal, Assembly of God kind of area. Even dabbled a bit in Santeria. I talked a bit on this channel with BMillzebub about like my altar in my house. That was a church organ. It's a great deterrent for people. If I didn't want them at my house, they would just they get scared and leave. I'm like, this is fantastic.
Well, I don't practice Santeria, and I ain't got no crystal ball.
And it's just lined up, so I know what candles you guys need to remove the negativity out of your house. Just let me know if you're interested. And so then I went to Catholicism for a while, but something that people don't understand, when you convert to a new religion, be prepared to be super that religion for at least 6 months.
Right.
Because you are completely, fully invested. So I learned everything that I could learn about Catholicism, and I had to take a year of classes. But it was kind of like this weird support group thing where they wanted to talk about, what are your feelings? But I was like, I really don't have feelings on this. So they're like, but don't you have this deep seated, not really. Tell me more about this stuff. And so it was a strange experience to go through the Catholic catechism classes for adults when it was really just a giant support group for a woman whose husband left the priesthood and married her. And so it became this big, huge gossip mill. I'm like, I'm so uncomfortable right now. But she's like, yeah, he wasn't meant to be a priest, so he married me. And I'm like, I have so many questions, and this is I don't know how to say this without being completely inappropriate, but you won't stop talking about it. So I don't know what to do. So, but yes, I was super Catholic for at least 6 months and signed up to even do visitation with the host in the little tabernacle. And I know all about that, man. They have their own tubes where they pour out the vessels that go to completely separate basin. Yeah. So it's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. At the end of the article, after it talked about how, damn it, why does it keep turning on the volume? I want it to go live. At the end of the article, it says that they're not sure how the Vatican will respond to basically airdropping holy water, because so much of it will end up in plumbing and sewers. I mean, as Objectively Subjective said in the chat, it's going to end up there anyway, but the way they plan on doing it is basically just dropping it from the air. So it's a little more of a direct path rather than through people's bowels.
Yeah, well, it's going to be eventually seep into the groundwater. So at some point, somebody's going to wash their ass with the holy water. I mean,
Great way to put it.
This is why I really love this show, Good Omens, with on Amazon Prime. I've watched it 3 times all the way through.
I still haven't finished it, but it is good.
I still need to watch the last couple episodes, but it's delightful as hell.
It plays like a Douglas Adams book, is what it feels like. I know Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman actually met Neil Gaiman, guys. I think 7 is No.
Oh my God, you meet all the cool people, Mel.
It was 7 years ago. This time 7 years ago, I met Neil Gaiman and Amanda Palmer at an art show before she blew up big. And so he was there, and I was like, I have a picture of me and Neil Gaiman and Amanda Palmer. And so it's like, it was some of the artwork associated with some of his graphic novels. And then she played music. She got naked, and we all wrote our names on her. It's just like, as you do
as one does, yes.
At an Amanda Palmer concert. It was a really good show. I was there with a friend of mine who actually gave me a tour of Cambridge University, King's College out in Cambridge, because he's an alumni there. I'm like, you went to Hogwarts? It's like, yeah, after a while I was sitting there and I was like, you freaking went to Hogwarts. You know you went to Hogwarts. Don't even lie. And you got a degree here at freaking Hogwarts. And there's Newton's house over there. Do you not realize what you've done?
That's
so
cool.
Me and my silly Southern American girl who was a teacher in the Bible Belt teaching farm kids evolution went to Hogwarts and met Neil Gaiman. I love that series. It's amazing.
I'll tell you what else is amazing. Stephanie Frost's new punk band name is going to be Bow Christ.
Yeah.
That tickles me. I like
it. Bow Christ before or after laxatives. That's important.
Evacuate Christ.
Because if it's before laxatives, that's a really solid tune. Afterwards, it's kind of, flows a bit.
Oh, and if you have Taco Bell, it really flows.
Oh my gosh. I like Fresco tacos. It's the only thing I eat. I can't eat their nacho fries. I will be in pain for like an entire day eating their nacho fries. I can't do it. Doubled up on the floor. Why did I eat this?
Yeah, I don't see why anybody eats Taco Bell, I'll be honest.
Oh, guys, as an aside, guess who recently, and somebody mentioned as there was an Amanda Palmer interview. So you guys know Dr. Leah Torres? She's like an abortion doctor. She's been on my show in This Week in BS when we talked about the abortion man. She recently was with Amanda Palmer and did a whole thing. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that's cool.
Did a thing with Amanda Palmer because Leah Torres is considered the abortion doctor. And so she's like all over the stuff. So she was on my show with Nate Brody and we were talking about the abortion man, that sort of thing. Atheist Husker was there and Motel Cowboy was there. Motel Cowboy is an activist and used to work for Planned Parenthood. And Atheist Husker is a sex education person who works with schools within Texas, trying to help them do better with their sex education.
Oh, they need it.
Oh my God. Nate Brody is a law professor in New York. And then I had Leah Torres. That is probably one of my favorite talks on that series, This Week in BS, because the thing that I loved is that you have a medical doctor who is asking a law professor, what do I tell my patients about Roe versus Wade? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that was an epic show.
It was amazing. And she's just recently been with Amanda Palmer. I forget where it was. I retweeted that. I think Amanda Palmer uses Patreon. So certain things are just for patrons, but you can download the audio and hear a bit of what they're talking about. And they donated like $3,000 to one particular initiative. I think that's oh God, I can't remember off the top of my head. Go look at Amanda Palmer's Twitter feed and all will be explained. That's what I'm going to say. But it was amazing. Like, I was like, she was on my show, and I'm so proud right now. I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing. We're doing good things, and people are benefiting. It's wonderful. So
it's important work.
It really
especially right now.
She will be back. Leah Torres will be back on my show on how to cope with all of the things that are in the news. She's like, do you have an episode on that? I'm like, would you like to be on my show discussing how to talk about and cope with all of the things that are in the news? Like, yeah. So trying to get, there's Dr. Janeway, who's in the UK, who has agreed to be on the show as well.
Wait, Janeway? What?
Janeway. Janeway or Janeway. We were working for a little while on doing like a children's book, but I don't know that went through completely. But I messaged him and he said that he'd be interested in talking about how to cope with the bad news that you see and how to actually kind of take power back and get involved. So I'm trying to get that together with him, with Dr. Leah Torres and that sort of thing, because that would be a really good talk. But
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying.
Well, let me know, because I'll be there with bells on, because I need that talk. I need it. Please. Help me.
I think I have therapy on Thursday, actually, so that'll be nice. Like, hey, how can I do this thing? I still go to therapy about once a month just to try to cope with the expanding presence on the media, especially with the fact that I have a stalker and that sort of thing. It's a lot to take in. So, you know, and honestly, if you don't have a therapist, I highly recommend them. Best work advice ever.
Well, no insurance. Hi.
We gotta fix that. We gotta sort that.
I know.
Gotta sort that.
Even if we got Obamacare back, I'd be happy, because at least under Obamacare I had insurance. And
still have the ACA. Message me and we'll see if we can fix that.
Okay. We're kind of at a place to where we don't make enough money to provide like medical care, but we make too much to qualify for all the different restrictions that my state has put on the Medicare expansion. So yeah,
that sucks. I'm sorry.
It is what it is, you know.
Do you think of a topic yet, BBA?
No, I've kind of been listening to you guys. I've kind of been like in and out.
There's got to be something going on in the Bible Belt. You're the Bible Belt atheist.
Bible Belt. There's always something going on.
Yeah.
There's always something to rage about there. So
now, if you had a Bible right now, BBA, and somebody was waving in your face, what would you say?
That I'm currently reading it and going through and highlighting every passage that's completely fucked up.
Give me some examples of what you think those are.
Well, I'm still in Genesis right now. I actually downloaded the Catholic Bible that I'm most familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I'm on Genesis 8 right now. So
Genesis is awful.
Let's see.
Like, it's so poorly written, and
it is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Really all it is.
I mean, I've in only 7 chapters, I've probably highlighted like at least almost 30 verses.
And as an aside, Genesis is the only book of the Bible that I didn't go to state with on Bible quizzing because of all the frickin' boring families. And
blah blah blah.
Descendant of this family, and this family was descendant of this.
He lives 700 and
I'm like, oh my god.
No, he didn't.
The ark was this many cubits long and this many cubits high, and I was just like, oh my god.
And it leaks.
Yeah, it does. And what is it Kansas that it's in? Is it
Kentucky.
Wrong case state.
Kentucky, yeah.
It only leaks in Kentucky, but not around Mount Ararat.
Exactly. That's how the magic works.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, Genesis is just, it gets way more interesting in Exodus when you get to all the plagues and stuff with the frogs falling out of the sky and the bloody water.
Yes, the fire hail. Or was that the movie?
No, I think there was actually a fire hail kind of thing going on, yeah.
I think that was that Sodom and Gomorrah?
It was, I think, also in like Exodus, it had like a little bit of fiery hail, but it wasn't enough to destroy the town.
It was fire and brimstone,
Right, I
Sodom and
remember that.
Gomorrah.
The thing that I never understood is like, they're like,
that's what-
okay, so you have the Pharaoh and his heart was hardened by God. I'm like, well, that's not very nice.
But that free will, though, that free
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
God won't
Like-
interfere with free will unless he wants to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah, you
thing.
have you have free will as long as you do what I want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
basically
like
how that goes.
some abusers I know.
Mm-hmm.
That's just really kind of not very nice. And see, I was the kid in Sunday school who had asked these questions, and they're like, "We'll talk about it next week," and then we never got
No.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
That's how that works.
Because they know they can't cover their asses good enough for something like that.
My favorite question ever was when they would sit there, because I grew up in a Nazarene church, and if you haven't had fun, go look that up. So go look up those particular individuals. They are in between Baptist and Pentecostal, and so Nazarenes weren't quite running through the aisles like Pentecostal, like the snake handlers is what we call them, and they weren't the bench warmers like the Baptists. You could speak in tongues, but it wasn't required. They believe that if you didn't pray every night and ask for forgiveness for your sins, you could die in your sleep and still go to hell, even though you're a Christian. So that was what I grew up with. I know it's funny.
I went to Nazarene when I was a little kid. I don't really remember much of it. We kind of jumped from one church to the next, but everything except Catholic, really. And we ended up falling on what was it called? Oh, some kind of Baptist. There's so many Baptists. So I'm good. Once I'm saved, I'm always saved. I'm set.
Yeah, it's Nazarene is really, really kind of a strange derivation. Funny thing, Tanya Harding was Nazarene.
No.
There are actually different women who were so afraid. I'm trying to think of the women who have been brought up and actually gone to court over this. The fact that they killed their husband because they were so afraid to divorce them that they would be ostracized by the church, and their husband was abusive, that they just killed them.
Yeah.
Because that was more acceptable than divorcing them. Because once you're married forever.
Isn't that backwards? Oh my God.
You know, and my mother had a miscarriage before me, and the women of the church came up to her while she's still in the hospital, and she goes, "What did you do to God to make him like do this to you?"
Oh my God. No.
That's some Handmaid Tale level shit when they're still in the handmaid school or whatever the fuck they call it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're doing the her fault thing for one of the women who was raped at one point, for those who have seen the show.
Oh my God.
It reminds me a lot of that.
That's, you know, that's a reality, particularly in the Nazarene faith. A lot of fault falls on the women and what they're doing. But do you think they would have ever asked my dad that question? What did you do to make God angry at you? But it was the women of the church who asked her this, not the pastor, not a man, which kind of reinforces this ideal that a lot of women are responsible for the oppression of others. And it's really one of those things you see, the themes you see in The Handmaid's Tale, and also kind of indicative of our current administration, given a lot of women voted, white women particularly, voted for the current president.
Yeah.
They are more, they feel safer in their own oppression than they do with, you know, and it's almost like they're quietly racist. It's like they don't want to have to deal with that, so they'd rather be oppressed and continue on what's considered the norm rather than initiate change, which is kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, it is. Another weird thing about this dynamic is if you're the paterfamilias, or the head of the family,
Yeah.
you would think the responsibility and the onus would be upon that person who is in charge. Oh, no. It's always the woman. I just don't understand. It's like you have your cake and eat it too, kind of thing. You get to
Yeah.
have all this power and responsibility for your family, except when things go wrong. Then it's the woman's
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
Basically.
we made Adam eat that apple and everything.
Ah,
Yeah, forced him to twisted his arm. Really.
yeah. And we're not even going to mention Lilith because that.
God, that's one of my favorite tours from the 90s is the Lilith tour because
Oh,
it was like Sarah McLachlan, Melissa Etheridge, the Indigo Girls. You know, it's just amazing. I have
Yeah.
like that on CD. I'm like, I love the Lilith tour.
I
I've thought
remember
of
that.
Yeah, I've thought of like if I ever got into a band, like if I ever started a band, that would be kind of like the theme that I would go for. In the name is the offspring of Lilith, or offspring of Lilith.
Oh, there's
Like
actually
like a name, like a band name.
There's actually a folk tale about Lilith's children, and they're called the Lilin children. So if you wanna look that up, that's an interesting thing. Anyway,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, the Lilin. Yep.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I've got one more thing I want to talk about before we end this, and I feel kind of like I would be remiss if we didn't talk about it. I'm sure we all have heard about that woman who's in Alabama who's facing 99 years in prison because she was shot in the stomach and miscarried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
originally, the manslaughter charge because of the miscarriage was placed on her husband, I think, or boyfriend. I don't really remember. Because he's the one who shot her. But because she instigated the fight, it's her fault she got shot, basically. So now she's the one being charged with manslaughter, and he got to literally walk away.
I thought that it was like some kind of love triangle thing, and a woman, the mistress, shot her.
I think it was.
That's what. Maybe I'm misinformed.
I think it was
I
the guy.
Was
but
it? I
since
could be wrong.
she supposedly initiated the argument, it's her fault that he shot her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my memory is not in working order because whiskey. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The thing that
according to the CNN article I'm looking at right now, the indictment, however, may or may not lead to prosecution, and that's coming from the Jefferson County District Attorney. So hopefully it doesn't stick because that's bullshit. She is the victim, whether she started the fight or not. It is on the guy who shot her to not fucking shoot her over an argument.
Oh my God. It's just, I am so angry. I try really, it's like there are women in this country who deserve Nobel Peace Prizes for not punching people in the face every day, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Like,
rage.
You have, because when I was much younger, I had such a huge, massive temper that when I get quiet and I'm just like, I've learned how to control it. I'm like, when Mel's quiet, that's when you need to worry. So, with this particular thing, the thing that makes me particularly angry is that once again, it doesn't matter what women do. We can report, we can document, we can have all of the records in the world, we can show that something's happened, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
People are, and I've been very vocal about my stalker, and I'm trying to not talk about him so much because that's what he wants. I have a police file. I filed a report. Nothing happened. He's been arrested twice for harassing women. He, watching the freaking Ted Bundy film where it was from the perspective of the woman, that triggered me.
Yeah.
Not the documentary, not the tapes, not watching the footage, the perspective of what it was like to be a woman in his life. That hit really hard because, and I'm sitting there going, I've encountered men who have behaved this way. Don't know if this man's hurt other women. But the thing is once again, women are always at fault for what happens to them. And I came out and I dismantled his online trap for women, which I managed to do. And it's hard for him to build a new one. And he knows that I will absolutely destroy his new job. He doesn't leave me alone. So that said, he doesn't have the time to build a new one. But women are consistently blamed for what happens to them. I was assaulted when I was 19. What were you wearing? A tank top, bodysuit, some jean shorts, and some combat boots. It was by a guy who worked in the mall that I was at 2 doors down from me, who it didn't matter. The guy who stalks me online watched me for 6 months before he started to engage with me. So he hunted me. So it's just, it doesn't matter what women do. It is always our fault. And it's exhausting to see this all the time in the news. We can respond. You've been shot in the stomach. You should have been a better mother. You should have done a better job at not making him so angry at you. You should have tried to calm him down a bit better so he wouldn't shoot you in the stomach. It's just, it's always our fault when shit happens to us. It is never the fault of the person who does said shit. And I don't swear that often. So that should say something to you guys right now. So it's like, it's always our fault. We are always victim blamed. We are always not listened to. We are always put in the position when people are like, well, men's lives can be ruined from false rape accusations. Women go to jail all the time for falsifying rape convictions. How many guys go to jail for actually committing rape when they are caught in the act? So it's like, it doesn't matter. It's exhausting. And I'm just so tired. I'm so tired of seeing this. We can do everything right, and it doesn't matter. I did everything right, and I'm still doing everything right. And it doesn't matter. Just like this woman is not responsible for the man who shot her in the stomach and killed her baby. That is not her fault. He made that choice. He could have walked away, but he didn't. He shot her. But yet here she is. Once again, women are blamed for stuff that happens to us all the time. And it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
It's so exhausting. And I just can't.
Yeah, and even though she's not going to be facing charges, she still has had to go through this awful shit, dragging her through the mud and the press. People aren't going to look at her the same. It's just like the phenomenon that is well documented. People believe the first thing they tend to believe, the first thing they hear, and that's the narrative they go with. It doesn't
bias. If you watch my channel, you know all about recency bias. Whatever you hear first is what you tend to believe.
Yep. And no amount of debunking really can stifle that process. I mean, we do try, but I mean, you might be able to change some minds, but the norm is people don't change. They just go with that narrative because they're not aware of their bias.
No,
I mean, she's not going to be criminally charged. Like you said, Snarky and Maddie put in the side chat. But I mean, that doesn't matter because there are still going to be a lot of people that are blaming her. Why did you instigate a fight? Why didn't you calm him down better? All shit that doesn't actually fall on her as a responsibility.
Yeah.
but she's a woman, so
Yeah, it's her
Why
fault
wasn't
she got
she
pregnant to
smarter?
begin with,
Yeah.
and all this other junk.
Why wasn't she smarter? How was she fooled by such a guy? It doesn't matter. I've heard so many things from so many different people where I've been blamed for the things that have happened to me, and I'm like, no, I'm so tired of it. I
Yep.
cannot be responsible for every single person on this planet for what they choose to do to me. I can only control how I respond.
Yep.
That's literally it. I can only control how I respond. And how I choose to respond is, you're not going to do anything. It's like, you're not going to get to me. I'm done with this. And I'm so over all of this crap to the point I'm ready to just ruin you. If I'm at to the point where no fucks, if I'm in the no fucks bubble, that's where people need to be scared. So, because if I've reached that point with a person, I have exhausted every single resource to me within reasonable measure. If I'm in the no fucks bubble, no fucks left to give, that's where, maybe it's, we need to like start leaving them alone. So, that's just what I'm saying. It takes a lot to get me there, but I'm there in some circumstances. Not no fucks left to give. So it's just like I just, and when every single woman, and every single woman is nearly there, I feel, when every single woman gets to that point, there's going to be a shift. And it's not going to be something that's fluffy and full of bunnies and unicorns and glitter and cupcakes. It's going to be something that's going to be extremely not fun.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're seeing with AOC, with Warren, with
Yeah.
we're seeing, we're just like, oh, they're being aggressive. No, they are handling their shit.
Yep.
They are calling you on yours. That's where we're at now, ladies and gents. So
Yep.
that's kind of where we're at. And I feel like, that's where we're moving towards. And that's not a bad thing. And hopefully, if you're not one of the jerks, you'll be like, yes. If you're one of the jerks, like, oh, Lord, I'm scared. Maybe you need to reevaluate your life and consider what it is that you're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Losing that privilege a bit.
I mean, even if these women were being aggressive, so fucking what? I have literally no consequences for being aggressive as someone who has a penis. Or, someone who accepts the binary because that's how I identify for myself. I have no consequences whatsoever for being aggressive. So what's wrong with a woman doing exactly the same thing?
Oh, well, she's hysterical. She's this, she's that. She's not ladylike, she's whatever.
It's like children were meant to be seen and not heard. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading Seneca, and he equates. Now, this is back during, like 500s, Common Era or whatever, and he just came right out and said, "Don't be like women because women are just like children in their reasoning." And it's like, oh.
man.
And this is the foundation in which our society is built upon. And so we have all of our work ahead of us. I mean, we've made progress, but we still have a lot to make in regard to seeing each other as equals.
There was something that I had that got me through grad school when I was doing my master's in chemistry. There was something that was posted in an engineering journal, and it was addressed to. It was a letter to the editor. It was addressed to. It was from a man addressed to all his women colleagues about the fact that they're not on the same level. And it goes through, let me see if I can find it and I'll read it to you. It goes through this entire series of essentially saying that there's no way he could say that he was our equal because of everything that women have gone through. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. All right, so let me see if I can read this. Here is the letter. This is on the easterner.org. And this was October 5th, 2015. I started my master's in chemistry that same year of that fall. To the women in my engineering classes, while it is my intention in every other interaction I share with you to treat you as my peer, let me deviate from that to say that you and I are in fact unequal. Sure, we are in the same school program and you are quite possibly getting the same GPA as I, but does that make us equal? I did not, for example, grow up in a world that discouraged me from focusing on hard science, nor did I live in a society that told me not to get dirty or said I was bossy for exhibiting leadership skills. In grade school, I never had to fear being rejected by my peers because of my interests. I was not bombarded by images and slogans telling me that my true worth was in how I look and that I should abstain from certain activities because I might be thought too masculine. I was not overlooked by teachers who assumed that the reason I did not understand a tough math or science concept was, after all, because of my gender. I have no difficulty whatsoever with a boys' club mentality, and I will not face added scrutiny or remarks of my being the diversity hire. When I experience success, the assumption of others will be that I earned it. So you and I cannot be equal. You have already conquered far more to be in this field than I will ever face. Sincerely, Jared Malden, Senior in Mechanical Engineering. That
Wow.
I kept posted on my desk for the years I was in grad school because that is truth right there. I had
Wow.
teachers who discouraged me from being in science. I had a professor in biology saying science is hard and you're a girl, you should be a teacher. I had all kinds of different gatekeeping that was in place that kept me from trying to be who I am as a person. So that I kept posted next to my computer as I was published for my breast cancer test and working in computational chemistry. I read that and kept it right there and even cried sometimes because it's the truth.
Mm,
You
that's
know,
powerful.
it was. And it's not that he's weak for admitting that. It's that he recognizes what it is that people have to go through to get where they are compared to him. And that to me was what was beautiful about that letter. Somebody saying, hey, I recognize that this is what you've been through, and I think it's amazing you've got this far. That speaks a lot.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah.
A lot of women need to hear that too.
Yeah, people do care, and there are men out there who recognize that, and those are the good guys, and they should be louder. Be louder, good guys. You guys are awesome, and you make us like cry a little on the inside. It's really nice.
Yes.
Nothing
Yes.
wrong with that.
And don't take heed to the people that will call you a white knight or any of this nonsense or make any assumptions about what your motivation is for standing up for the vulnerable in society. Even though we are over half of the population, we are vulnerable as women. So it's very important that people who do have privilege recognize that and stand up for those who don't.
Man, and it's so sweet, and it's like when you see somebody who's in that position of privilege to go, I see you. I
Yeah,
see you. That is so important.
it
I don't
is.
think people realize how important that is. That got me through a lot, man. There's a dude in engineering saying, I see you and I know what you've been through and I think you're amazing. Sometimes that's all you need just to get through.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I want to cry a little bit.
Mhm.
Oh.
That's
I see you guys. I see you. And I see those good guys out there. I see you. And I thank you for speaking up. You're not white knighting. You're pointing out the blatantly obvious. Even though it's Captain Obvious, that's still extremely important and it means a lot to me. It's like on Sunday. Okay, so Doc Savage, I'm going to plug my show. Doc Savage is going to be on my show tomorrow. And part of the intro, and you'll notice this, part of the intro is one of the nicest things. Now, this man helped develop the HPV vaccine, okay? Doc Savage helped develop the HPV vaccine, which prevents cancer. So you can get a prevention from cancer vaccine because this man helped work on it. He's going to be on my show called Oral Audacity. One of the things that he says, and you'll see it in the intro, is Mel does not need my help to be powerful and strong and informed. Have you seen her videos? And I'm just like, this man developed the HPV vaccine. And he thinks I don't need his help. So it made me melt a little. I'm not gonna lie. It was. I'm just like, and so he's messaging me this. I'm like, oh my God, I don't need your help. And he's like, no. And so he's actually offered to write recommendation letters for me professionally on the side because of what he's seen and read that I've done on a professional aspect as far as my industry work, my research, and then also science communication. But that meant a lot to me, and I'm like, wow, people do respect me. And that means more to me than subscribers or followers or anything. That people are like, hey, she's a good egg. And we believe in her. And that just, so
that's the stuff that really matters. That's substance. It's not
important.
Yeah.
Mel doesn't need my help. You hear that in a Scottish accent? You just hear a puddle on the floor. Mel doesn't need my help. I don't.
I need Maddie's help right now because my vape died. Where is my white knight?
She's snapping her fingers. Vape,
vape, please.
She's pointing to the table.
And for a video I've got coming up eventually, whenever I decide to make my portion of it, I literally do need Mel's help to make it. So
no, I got a video. I was just like a message like, oh my God, I wrote it down. I wrote all the things down. I still have them, I promise. They're like right here. See?
Yep. Let's not say what it is because I'm kind of keeping that close to the chest. I don't want to.
Okay. I wrote it down back here on this piece of paper that you can't see for proprietary reasons. But, I did write it down. So.
Real point is I can't do the video without her help.
You can always do a video without me, but I'm going to do the best.
Yeah, but this one in particular. Okay.
I'm going to try. I still can't find that one thing that I'm looking for that I need for the thing. And
that's how that always works, isn't it?
So if I can't find that one thing that I need to film the thing, I'm just going to film it without it. I hope that's okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm holding in the giggity. I'm holding it in.
But I think that's a pretty good spot to end it at. We've been going for an hour and a half now, and
my butt hurts.
Yeah, mine kind of too. The tailbone kind of area.
Yeah.
You guys need a cushy chair. I have like a good cushy chair. So.
Yes, it's so do.
Monkeys.
Mm. Well, you have to be careful of those. Do you have anal dwelling monkeys?
I could. I mean,
I'm not
sure what happens when I'm asleep. It's not like I have a camera up or anything.
It's like Bruce Almighty.
Hey,
please return home, anal dwelling monkeys. And
they have a camera for that. Sure, they
fiber optics right up the bum.
Yep. Just make sure you got to blow air in it first.
You could do like this is what you could do like a health awareness video. BMillzebub's colonoscopy. This is what it's like, guys. First, lube up the camera and then you shove it in, and there's my colon. No polyps. Yay! Cancer
Yay.
free.
Hey, when did I eat corn?
Yikes. And with that, why doesn't everybody talk about your channel real quick, and we'll hop off of here.
Well, I'm Mrs. Snarky, and sometimes I make content. I haven't in a while, but I'll get back on that at some point. I have a channel where I talk about mostly philosophy and whatever is interesting to me at the time. Yeah, I also appear on Objectively Subjective's channel every Friday, 8 p.m. Central, for the On Our Last Nerve show, which I love. It's fun. And yeah, that's me. I'm also on Twitter. Mrs. Snarky. Yep. I'm not good at this.
Who up to next?
Yeah, go. Bible Belt Atheist, you've been quiet, so you go have at it.
Well, Bible Belt Atheist, pretty much try and upload Sundays and Wednesdays at 4 Eastern. I've put up a couple of videos since then, but they've not been edited on my laptop because I'm still trying to get an editing software for my laptop, since I'm now running Linux instead of Windows, because of my new internal hard drive that I had to get. But other than that, I pretty much just do reaction videos or response videos.
All right.
Awesome.
And we smell.
All right. So I do science on my channel. I have several different shows. On Saturday morning, we have the Science of, which are basically the topics are viewer generated. So my viewers pick what it is they talk about based on polls, and then I put a show together. So recently, I used to just produce them myself, but I have Bullionator is now my producer on my show. So he's producing my Saturday shows, which are 10 a.m. Central, where it's all exclusively science-y based. Like this today, we talked about hormones. Last weekend, we talked about nuclear energy. I think next weekend, we're talking about science communication and how to effectively communicate science. On Sundays at 3 p.m. Central is a brand new show I have called Audacity. It's a play on the mispronunciation of audacity by a certain individual who's extremely angry that Doc and I will not debate them on their own channel, because they would say it was audacity. You have the audacity to. So we're like, we're going to just make it a bit smarter and call it audacity. Not only do we have the audacity, but we're going to speak it. The audacity. So this Sunday, we're going to talk about Deepak Chopra. We're going to take a scientific paper that he had published in Nature. Now it's translational psychiatry. That's the borderline woo paper that Nature publishes about how vacation is good for you and that it changes your DNA somehow after 5 days of being at Chopra's particular resort. So we're gonna destroy that paper live this Sunday. Me and Doc. Doc has about 20 years experience in immunology. I am not as sciencey as Doc Savage is, but he thinks I don't need his help. So I'm like, I'm a little chuffed by that. Okay, maybe it's just woo, Anyway, like a good Scottish scorn coming from him, and I'll try to not be mean too much. I don't think I'm mean. It's really hard for me to be mean, so I will leave that to him to do. So on Sundays, I do have Spirited Science, which is my outreach show where we talk about a particular topic or a scientist and share an adult beverage. If you're interested in being on Spirited Science, just message me. put a show together. It's that easy. And then on Thursdays is This Week in BS, where we talk about the latest and greatest in bad science, but it's mostly just current issues. Hence, Dr. Torres, Nate Brody, and the abortion ban and all of the things associated with that. So we talk about the current events and what science plays a role in that. So check it out, youtube.com/scientistmel. And I have a website. You can check my sources, scientistmel.com, because I'm that transparent.
All right. All right. Thanks for coming on, everybody. And for everyone watching, head over to their channels, subscribe, follow them on Twitter and other various social medias. And
Hey, can I add in one thing right quick?
yeah, go for it, dude.
Right now I am at 399 subs, so I need one more subscriber to hit 400. So somebody be my 400.
Who wants to be 400?
21 to make it 420.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the geek room? That's their jam.
Oh. All right. Yeah. Thanks again for coming on, everybody. And for those watching, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, please. And definitely share it out. This panel has been awesome. And thanks for like the 16th time for coming on. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me.
And hopefully Mel has enjoyed this enough to become a permanent Prince of Hell.
Maddie's number 400. Whoop, whoop.
Woohoo!
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Take it easy, everybody. And we'll see you on this show next month.
Thank you, Maddie.